think about, for example, maybe next time I'm going to have, I don't know, the map of the place I'm going to be at, and I'm going to have 3 routes from which I can escape, to run to, and I escape. And I'm going to have a place in which I can hide. For example, when you're going to big crowds, to work at big crowds, you should have 3 places where you can run fast and places where you can hide. If a gun shooting starts, or if people starts running and jumping one from each other, you should have that plan before and ahead from time, so that you won't be caught up in a situation that is going to put you at risk. Okay, that's just one example. And now we are going to talk about preparing ourselves and making the 5 steps for an emotional safety plan. Okay, if you want to read more about safety plans, physical safety plans, IWMF have some of them put in tottemproject.org. I'm going to be writing it afterwards. Okay, I'm going to put you the links both for the guide and the Totem Project workshops, where you can read about how to make a safety plan, how to make a risk assessment and a safety plan, a physical safety plan, an online safety plan, and an emotional safety plan. Okay, but for now, we're going to review the emotional safety plan. When you're going to cover something, the first step for a safety planning, emotional safety planning, is to assess your emotional state at the moment. For example, my team of psychologists, we covered violence, but we also cover natural disasters. Okay, if someone of my team had a recent death in their families, I'm not going to send them to a place when there has been a lot of death, because they are not going to be able to manage it. And you can feel free to talk to your editors, for example, saying, look, my I don't know, a member of my family passed, and I need some time to adjust to this. So don't send me to I don't know, covering a shooting at a school or things like that at this moment. And if that's not a possibility, then prepare yourself. Know that the condition you are at that moment is going to impact you, is going to make that this news, this coverage is going to impact you even more. Have in mind and see how are you going to face it. How are you to, your assignment can move you. Listening to someone, think of the sensations that you're going to face, the smell, the noises, what you're going to see, what you're going to basically sense, smell, hear, and see. Again, I'm going to give an example. The news about the shooter, the 18-year-old shooter that went to an elementary school and shoot kids. I've had many patients, not many, but yes, a few, that had covered that, okay? And they were really impacted by it, really impacted by it. Because obviously, when kids are involved, it's nature's protection to the youngest. Its instinct of protection hits us harder. So think what you're going to see and prepare yourself for that. When there's, for example, a coverage of a plane crashing, what you're going to see, it's really impacting. And the smell of, and I'm sorry to give you this in your mind, but I need to make the example. The smell of burned flesh is very particular, very, very particular, and it's very impacting. We work with one of the airlines of our country in their care team preparation and the care team response, and believe me, it's very, very impacting. Okay, so you have to be prepared. We prepare ourselves for that because we knew what we were going to face. Think of the emotions that this situation might arise. because it is different for everybody. For example, some are more prompt to get angry at certain things. Some are more prompt to get sad at certain things. And here I'm going to say that I know that you've been taught that as journalists, you cannot feel, that you have to swallow it and keep it down. And yes, when you are covering, you have to do that. But that doesn't mean that the emotions are not arising. They are. You're keeping them down, but they are arising. And one of the journalists precisely of this, that covered the school, told me this. I know I shouldn't feel. And I said, wait, you shouldn't feel while you're there, because that puts you at risk, and because you cannot start crying with the people that you're going to interview. If you do, it's not so bad, huh? I have journalists that did, and nothing really happened. But it's not the most professional thing. But once you get home, you become a human being. So give yourselves the time to process the emotions that arise from that coverage. In my case, working with patients is very similar, because I work with patients who had been raped, kidnapped, tortured. And when they are telling me this, of course I feel things. I'm human. And yes, I don't start crying with my patient. But at the end of the day, I go to my shower, and there I start crying, and I start letting it out, and I start trying to make sense of it, trying to understand what happened, why this happened. I even allowed myself fantasies that help me deal with this kind of things. Okay, each one has to find a way to process this kind of emotions. If you don't, they're gonna keep on piling up, and you're becoming a bomb that eventually is gonna explode. If there is a possibility of risk to your integrity, if you say, okay, I'm gonna be covering, I don't know, I'm gonna be interviewing people from the organized crime. There's a risk to your integrity. I'm going to be covering a political issue that is prompt, it easily can prompt to violence. It's risky, and acknowledge it and make a plan to be safe. For example, if you're going to cover something risky, have someone follow you. Put your find me, your geological location, and have someone following you at that time. Okay, it can be, I don't know, a friend, a coworker, your editor, I don't know, a family member. Okay, but have someone following you all the time, and contact that person when you get to the zone and when you're out of the zone, for example. Okay, so make a plan for it. It's a human response to a threat, to feel fear. You're gonna feel fear. But if you know what to do, you can focus better, and you already have a plan. That fear is gonna be manageable, and it's not gonna paralyze you. And manage it by having a physical safety plan. Knowing what to do, as I say, where to run, how to minimize the risk is going to help you manage the fear. Also, the safety plan is how are you going to process that afterwards? That's what I was saying before. You need to have something to process this kind of things. And you need something at the end of the day that will disconnect, that will let the emotions out, that will let the process of the thinking work, to say, okay, well, they are fighting, it's a war, they are trying to, I don't know, for example, the things that happened in Washington when Biden was taking, was going to be president, okay? All the things, you could have foreseen them, and you could have your safety plan, but you could have also make meaning of them. Why did this happen in my country? I saw a lot of American journalists that were very shaken by this event. They were feeling, especially those African-American heritage, that were feeling that this couldn't be happening again, that this couldn't be something that was happening in their loving country, in the country that they love so much. afterwards. So it's going to impact you. Think of ways you can manage that, and have something at the end of the night that gives you balance. Yes, life can be awful and messy and violent, but life is also beautiful and happy and joyful. So find the balance. And at the end of the session, we're going to make a little exercise to have a little fun and to have that balance today, to put it at work, that balance. The way you can have balance is very simple. Start your day or finish your day singing and dancing one song. It's as easy as that. It's not hard. It's not difficult. Okay?